Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. I am so excited today because I have a special guest. You know her from Broadway, you know her from television, you know her from Netflix. She's been everywhere and for a long time doing her thing like none other. She is Lillias White. She's a Tony, Drama Desk, and Outer Critics Circle Award winner. Her recent TV credits include the Baz Luhrmann directed Netflix series The Get Down, as well as Russian Doll and Search Party. You can see her right now as Hermes on Hadestown on Broadway. That's right, I said on Broadway. And she's just doing her thing. And I know that her presence will inspire you to do yours. So please join me right now in welcoming Lillias White. Hi, Lillias.
Hi, everybody.
I'm so happy to see you. And yes, we've been in each other's company a number of times over the years.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to work at Essence Magazine many moons ago.
Okay.
And then I've done a lot of work with the Broadway League to help bring Black faces in front, behind, and all around on Broadway. So yes, through many touch points.
Okay, good.
But let me tell you, one that I particularly love was sitting in a very good seat at Hadestown, watching you, just kind of sporting yourself across that stage in silver sparkles, being Hermes. What was it like when you realized that you were going to get that role?
Well, it was a surprise. It was sort of a fluke because I was sitting here at my table with my friend Susan Davison. Mm-hmm. And I think we had heard online or on the news or something that Andre was leaving the show. And she said, "You'd be great in that role." And I thought, I saw the show opening night. It is a great role.
Absolutely.
And I never imagined that they'd think about a woman doing it. But she said, "You should call your agent right now." So I called my agent right there on the spot. And my agent said, "Oh, that's a good idea." So he called the producers, and the producer said, "Hey, that's a good idea." And the director said, "Yeah, that's a great idea." So that's how it happened. It was sort of just came out of the heavens.
I'm so glad I asked you because, on so many levels. First, for anyone who has seen Hadestown and maybe saw the opening of Hadestown with Andre DeShields, I mean, he tears that role up. He becomes Hermes and with the wings, shoes, and everything.
Yes.
And I'm just saying, man, woman, child, whoever you might be, it's hard to come on his heels, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because he's the real deal, baby.
He is the real deal. And then for it to be, we talk a lot about diversity on stage, off stage, etc. But the diversity to go from a man to a woman in a role like this is unusual. And yeah. So for you to, and it wasn't watching you, it's not like you have to become a man. You just become the character. How did you study embodying that character?
Well, my idea of gods, and Andre feels the same way, is that gods are interchangeable in terms of their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
So, gods can be a man or a woman, and they can exchange roles. There are gods and goddesses in the Yoruba pantheon, in the Yoruba tradition, that are able to play dual roles as man and woman. I didn't think of it so much as taking over a man's role as much as being myself in the role, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a woman. And that's really how I have approached it and how I approach it. I approach it that, these are my children and I'm the gatekeeper and I'm the one who's, saying who comes and goes, and I'm in communication with Hades, and I would like to be the boss.
Yes.
But Hermes is not quite the boss. I still have to to go by what Haiti says. But I really enjoy the fact that you're seeing this role from a feminine point of view.
Mm-hmm. I
And
agree.
And as a mother, that's how I approach it.
Well, interesting that you're making that point, because this story is one where you want to protect the characters. You want to protect a love story. You want to protect the youth. The audience is rooting for love and goodness, and that nurturing space that you're talking about definitely does have a role in the performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I want to see the lovers survive the pitfalls of having to go to Hadestown. I want to see them change the story, because this is a story that's being told over and over and over again.
Right.
And I think that what Mrs. Hermes wants to do more than anything is to see the lovers survive the pits of hell and come together and live happily ever after.
And there's something to be said, Lillias, about the story happening again and again, and the hopefulness doesn't go away. And right. That's something that I think people can relate to, especially right now. There's a lot going on in our world. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of hardship, a lot of illness, so many things, a lot of things that people might call negatives. And yet the longing for love and joy and hope and potential remains.
Yes. Well, I believe that as human beings, that's what we have to hold on to. We have to hold on to the fact that, okay, we all live, there's the potential for us to be ill, there's the potential for us to be well, and we're all going to die. So in between the time that we're living and getting sick and getting well and being loved and giving love and sharing love, in between all of that is hope. And the determination that we will survive somehow until we die. And nobody wants to think about or talk about dying, but it's a real thing that we have to go through, that we have to witness, and that we have to go through ourselves. And so I think that because of the world that we live in right now, because there are so many rough things happening. I mean, a friend of mine just lost her son very suddenly last week. And a young, strong, beautiful man, 39 years old, family man, mentor, athlete. All of a sudden he's gone. And I remember him as a little boy with my little boy playing in the dirt in Chicago and coming in the house and all grimy and grubby, bright-eyed and smiling. I'm trying to hold on to those memories of him so that the fact that he's not on this plane anymore doesn't wreck me. It did for a minute, but I'm just saying that there are things that we have to overcome. And the world, such as it is, doesn't make it easier to do that. But somehow we have to have hope and continue to strive to be the best people that we can be and have the best life that we can live.
Well, and, I'm so sorry to hear about your friend's loss. And there's been a lot of loss recently, I'm sure, in one way or another for everyone. But one of the things that stands out that has shaken so many of us is, folks who seem so happy, who have taken their lives. And the horror of that, and knowing that something was stirring deep inside
that they
couldn't
handle.
Yes.
They couldn't handle it anymore. That is incredibly disturbing. That, that the people that we're looking at, because, the person you're referring to, I just saw him on Jennifer Hudson's show the other week.
Right. And, we should say and honor him. He's called Twitch. Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful family. And what we know is that sometimes, no matter what, the whatever, because we look on the outside looking in, well, you have so much,
Yes.
how could you? And we just don't know. And so we offer prayers and blessings to those families and to anybody out there who's suffering, because we don't always know. All right, I want to turn the page. I want to talk about Broadway. Every time I talk to somebody who is performing on Broadway, I have to talk about stamina, because 8 shows a week, walking, moving, projecting, singing, reliving these parts. I mean, like, you can't fake it at all. You have to be it. Where do you get your energy?
Well, I think my energy has a lot to do with just being stubborn and determined, and wanting to put my best foot forward each and every single time that I step on that stage. I do take a lot of supplements, and I have great medical care. I have a doctor who does Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and I see her regularly. But I take vitamin B12 and I take vitamin C, and I'm looking at my arsenal now. I take a lot of stuff, and I try to eat well. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, and so that's a big help.
That is.
Yeah. And I'm just bound and determined to get up there and do it. I really love performing. I love being in front of an audience. I love to see their reaction, especially in this kind of show where there's an emotional ride that you go on in Hadestown. And I love being able to take the people on that emotional ride and have people feel, because I also exercise. I just started another exercise regimen last week, where I have to get up in the morning, and I got to do those planks and weights. I'm doing my weights and crunches, all that stuff.
That's excellent.
I did have a bout with COVID in the beginning of November. And that
recently,
shut me down. Yeah, the beginning of November. And it shut me down. And but it wasn't as bad as some people have had it. So, and I believe that it's because I am full up on vitamins and minerals, and I drink water, and I'm determined. That's
good.
I just want to do it.
That's great. Yeah, I want to talk about something you just mentioned, that wonderful interaction that you can have with the community, with the audience that you have on stage. My mother used to say to me all the time, notice the bright lights in the room. And when, as a young person, I would be kind of nervous when I was getting on a stage. It would usually be for some academic reason. And I used to be shy. I know I don't seem like that, but I used to be shy. And she would say,
shy too.
Right. And she would say, notice the bright lights in the room and make eye contact with those people who are smiling at you, who are offering love and connection. And I'm wondering, because you've done so many performances, Broadway and many, many other places, how do you create that interplay with the audience, with the bright lights, and or what is it for you?
Well, for me, I avoid the people who are, believe it or not, sleeping in the front row.
Oh, yes.
I avoid looking at them. And
that's so rude.
Oh God. I avoid those people. I avoid, and we see them.
Yeah.
But there's nothing we can do about it. And so I avoid looking at them, and I look at the people who are way up in the rafters there. The people
they
who
appreciate
are
it.
Top balcony. Who had to climb those steep stairs to get way up there, and they're looking down there, and because so often the audience is here, we don't always look up here to them. So I look at them when I see somebody, what I call doing the pigeon. This is the pigeon. They are in their seat, just sleep, and I'm looking at them and saying, how could you sit in the first, second, third row of a theater, or anywhere in a theater, and go to sleep? But
That's
You know,
right.
maybe they had too much to drink, maybe they had a long day, a long week, whatever. But I concentrate on the people that I can't see, because those are the ones that I feel are giving me their brightest light and their best attention.
And you know what, Lillias, also to that same point is when you envision them, then you send your energy to them, and even your voice, you project your voice all the way to them. Because even with the microphones you're wearing, if you don't send your voice to folks, they don't get it, right?
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And
So look,
we have a great sound system on the show. Yes, go ahead.
it is. So after seeing you in Hadestown, I was watching TV, one of my favorite shows, and there you were on New Amsterdam.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, that's Lillias. And it was so exciting to see you. You were very dramatic in your role, but I don't know, for those of you who watch TV and watch this is a medical series that comes on called New Amsterdam, which I love. And when I saw you, part of what I appreciated, well, certainly just seeing you in a different role right now, because I just maybe seen the play a week before, but also I feel like in the past, we didn't always see Broadway actors on television shows. It was nice to see you in two different places at the same time.
Yeah. Well, we do get to do some film and TV. I've done, I think, 3 or 4 Law and Orders. And so from time to time, you might see one of my old Law and Orders. And of course, I'm on the Get Down, but that was filmed like 6-7 years ago.
Wow.
But we do get to stretch out and do other and perform in other venues, I'll say.
That's exciting.
I love doing that stuff. I love doing
Yeah.
voiceovers. I've done some voiceovers and I love doing that. And I think that if you have it in you, that you have to work it and you have to expand your horizons and do as much as you can with your craft. And so that New Amsterdam was one of those times that I got to be another person, a different character, and do something that I'd never done before. I'd never had been in a scene on TV where I had to faint. So I had to faint.
Well,
And
you did it. Okay. No one would know that you'd never done it before.
Oh, good. Well, I also told them I don't want to do this more than twice. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because sometimes, see, that's the difference between Broadway and television. You might have to do it over and over and over again on TV, right?
That's yeah.
So, Lillias, how did you start your career? You know, so many people who listen to Dreamleapers are trying to figure out how they can manifest their dreams. I'm curious about where did that thought come from and how did it manifest?
My mother's youngest sister, her name was Lillias, and I was named after her. And my Aunt Lillias danced with the June Taylor Dance Company that was on the Jackie Gleason show when I was a child. And so I was her baby. She was, the youngest of my grandmother's children. And my mother had me pretty late in life. Back in the day, if you had a baby, your first child, 35 years old, that was considered old.
Right.
So anyway, so my aunt was the youngest, and she just was very tight with my mother, and who was the oldest daughter of my grandmother's children. And so my Aunt Lillias just kind of took me, and she would dress me up in crinoline dresses and patent leather shoes with the little lace socks around and big bows in my short hair. And I was her baby. So we would have big dinners every Sunday. My grandmother would cook the most incredible food, and soup to nuts, homemade ice cream, all of that. And then at the end of dessert, my grandfather had to clear the table. And my mother, my Aunt Lillias or my grandmother would say, okay, y'all clear the table because my baby's going to sing and dance. And they would put me up on the dining room table. I would sing and dance for my family. So I would say Aunt Lillias, Aunt Lillias was a big proponent in pushing me to just be myself. It wasn't so much that they were pushing me to have a career in the arts, but they saw this thing in me. And they saw that I was always singing or dancing around the house. And so they said, put her up there on the stage. And that's how I got up there. I also had aunts and uncles who were painters, artists, portrait makers. And they did murals, they did wood cuttings and all sorts of art. My youngest brother, when he was a little boy, he would take all the pots and pans out of the cupboards and we'd get a spoon and he'd beat the drums. So my mother got him some bongos one year. And so now he's still, a percussionist. So
Wow.
that's kind of, and I had another aunt who played the piano, who was learning Spanish. And, I just had a lot of stuff, a lot of input going on in my household when I was a young kid. And I was never told not to do it. So
when was your first professional production?
My first professional production was I was with a group called the Demigods that was founded and directed by Joseph A. Walker, who wrote the play, The River Niger. He was a Tony Award winning playwright. He and his wife, Dorothy Denrow Walker, they're both deceased now. So, God bless be upon them. But they put together a group called the Demigods. And our credo was every singer is a dancer is an actor. Every actor is a singer is a dancer. So we were taught and trained to be proficient in all three areas of the arts. And those three areas, we also learned how to build costumes and how to help build sets. And so my first professional gig was with the Demigods. I believe it was for Joe Papp, or it was at the City College uptown where I went. But after I left the group, I did a production of Amen Corner at the Hazel Bryant Theater. And I took over for somebody who got sick and they couldn't sing or something. And so I sang, and I had a very small little role where I was singing. The producers of the Wiz Bus and Truck Company were in the audience, and they spoke to the co-producer of the Amen Corner, because the Wiz producer said, well, who is that? And they said, well, that's Lillias White. So they said to the producer of the Amen Corner, have her come in. We're looking for a Dorothy understudy for the Wiz Bus and Truck tour. So I went and I auditioned. I auditioned in front of Jeffrey Holder and George Faison. And I got the job. And so my first equity show, my first union show was the Wiz Bus and Truck tour. We spent 14 months doing split weeks and one-nighters.
Wow.
And I started out as the understudy to Dorothy. So I was in the chorus and I did the Kalidas and the Winged Monkeys and, the Mice Squad with the big fake cigars and stuff. And then about midway through the tour, I took over the role of Dorothy. I was the Dorothy until the end.
And what year was that?
That was 78, 79, something like that.
Can you imagine from 78 and 79, we are at 2022. You are in Hadestown. I want everybody to go out and see it. It is such a wonderful show and you are magnificent in it. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us here on Dreamleapers. Lillias White, you are doing your thing. Thank you.
Yes, it's a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us here on Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.